Hello. Today I will speak a little bit about the term and concept of an archive. As the concept and term is in use in the archiving field and as well in the information technology field. Archive is a very well-known term and concept, which does not necessarily mean that everybody understands what the meaning of the concept of archive is. Especially in the information technology field, you can find very many programs or just features or functionalities which are named archiving or archive or something like this. This is quite different from the term and concept which is used in the field of archiving management or archival management, or there are also different terms and concepts to name it, records management and so on. First of all, I will describe how archive is understood in the archiving field. There are, of course, many definitions, but basically there are two terms which are in use. First of them is archive or archives. More generally, the plural is in use, archives. And the second term is fond or fonds. The term of fond is quite different meaning from the money fund or foundation or something like this. Archive as a term in classical archiving dictionary has generally freehold meaning. First of all, archive is a collection of documents or whole collection of documents of the subject, which is the organization, person or family who is constitute this archive. Second meaning is, and this is the first is the general meaning. Second meaning is building. Very often archive is just building. There is an archive. This is an archiving building. There is a meaning is that this is a large building usually where many paper documents are held. Or it might be also other kind of documents like clay or something like this, but generally the paper document, parchment documents. Today, this meaning of archive as a building is a little bit old one, and of course you can find archive as such in the cloud or in the server or somewhere else, which means that the people don't use term archive so much to name the building. Third is archival institution, or as the definition says, agency or program responsible for selecting, acquiring, preserving and making available archives. The first meaning, the collections. The institution is might be a special institution like National Archives. Usually National Archives are special institutions for archive. And second, there might be sort of the institutional archives or even archives of the structural unit or organization or something like this. The meaning is that the archive need to be self-organized, the institutionally not part of another institution. National Archive is the best example of this. Of course, the first meaning of archive is most widely used, but sometimes and in some languages, in some cultures, differentiation is made to divide archive and the term fonds. In English language is not so common, therefore the French or Russian language is this where it is common. The pronunciation of the term is a little bit different. In French language they called it respect du fond. the basic meaning is that the papers, documents, items of the concrete organization need to be held and organized, arranged, as the technical term is, into one archive. Very often, archive is living, sort of the living organization. The meaning is that the documents are accumulating year to year, time to time into this archive. Sometimes the division is made that the dead archive and living archive, which is the part of the archive where the documentation is going in. These languages where the differentiation between archive and fond is more strictly made, they usually use the term fond as the synonym for archive, the whole collection of the subject of the documents. But this is not the only way you can understand what the fond is. Fond might also be sort of a sub-collection. Usually, when the term fond is used as a sub-collection, they are divided by the types of the records. For example, paper records are one fond, and digital records are in the other fond. Or like written records are in one font, and very often maps are in the second different font. Or third example, the pictures are in the separate font, and the other documents are in the separate font in the one archive. Sometimes they use also the sub-archive for this reason. This is not very common in information technology field. In information technology field, archive, you can find the term archive in different softwares. And the meaning is not precisely neither of them which I covered earlier to describe the archive in the real world. Usually, the meaning is some sort of the collection of the items, and even you don't very precisely know what is the collection. And more important is that if you use it not just a collection but as an institution, then the institution is necessarily doing something. It has functions, and this means that when you use the archive and the archiving, then you usually describe some sort of the processes or archiving functions, as we call them, to do something with this archive. But in information technology, you don't find this kind of archives very much. There is also a large debate between archival community and information technology community about the term and the concept. And sometimes archival community telling to the information technology community that you guys using the term quite wrong and don't use it at all. And of course, sometimes they even listen and they say, okay, there is no matter what kind of term we use. If you don't like us to use this kind of term, we will use different kind of term. And they do it. This means that you always need to look on the functionality. One term which is quite similar to the archive is repository, and often even they call it institutional repository. Institutional repository is basically an archive, or more correctly from the archival terminology point of view, like fond, some sub collection of the institutional whole holdings, and very often it uses some kind of software application. For example, very common for universities and other institutional repositories to use the software application named DSpace, and they even called it not an archival software but institutional repository software, not to tell anything bad to the archival people. So if you find archive in your information system somewhere in your information architecture, you need to look what kind of functionality is there. Is it some kind of arrangement and description? Is it some kind of access to this, controlled access to this institution? Is it some kind of submission process? How the documents are archived? Is it any kind of preservation policy there, and so on? This was general overview about how term and concept of archive has been used and is used in archiving and IT community. Thanks.